Okay, so about a year ago, Elon Musk published his Elden Ring build online, and people on Twitter were quick to realize that it's pretty bad. I mean, the guy's using 2 shields, like... Huh? Anyways, it's clear that Elon didn't use this exact build for the entire playthrough, but I thought it would be interesting to try to play through the whole game using it. This was very fun and honestly much more challenging than I thought, so without further ado, I present to you Let's lay down some general rules for this first. I will only be using items and gear that Elon has equipped in this image, with some exceptions for the starting gear, because I need to have something at the beginning, and some very important items that he probably also used, such as Torrent. He also tweeted his stats in another picture, and I will not allow myself to level any one of my stats higher than the level he has in it. Since we can see 3 summons in Elon's hotbar, I would theoretically be allowed to use those. But just to make things a bit more interesting, I will not use any ashes, as well as obviously not summon any other players to help me. With these rules out of the way, let's get started. After ripping off Breath of the Wild, Elon's first order of business is to get some maidens. So we sneak on by this guy, say hi to Cypher from Valorant, and walk on over to this grace where we receive our accord. With the boy, we can now start making our way towards the items that let us truly become Elon Musk. So, after nearly dying, twice, we just run through a lot of Limgrave, grabbing a surprise tool that'll help us later, some runes and the Flask of Wondrous Physics. The Physic Flask is an interesting case because we can't properly know what Elon had in it. So I decided to just keep it at the basic healing crystal tier for now. After flying up here, we reached the location of our first item, the Summonwater Village. However, I did not realize that you needed a stone sword key to actually get into the place. So I decided to just simply beat up this old guy for some money, which will be put into intelligence for now. And after a little detour, I could finally grab the first Elon Musk approved item, the Green Turtle Talisman. After this, I made my way to a nearby church when something I wasn't anticipating happened. After trying my best and getting absolutely destroyed by her, I decided to simply run by next time and grab the Missionary Cookbook 3, which allows us to craft silver pickled foulfoots that will come in quite handy later. After getting vigor checked again, I snuck my way out the back and arrived in... There's a specific cave here that we're gonna have to get through in order to get a very important item. So, after gaming on some knights and upgrading our intelligence a bit more, we arrive at the first boss of this run. Yeah, that's gonna happen at a later time. For now, we are moving on to a different part of Caelid without any problems along the way whatsoever. After running through Miyazaki's magnum opus, we arrive at Celia, but can't really do anything before Melina abducts us. Now, another rule I didn't touch on at the beginning is that I allowed myself to use the starting equipment so that we've got something to work with. However, I told myself I was not allowed to upgrade any of the starting weapons, so there isn't actually much to do in the round table hold for now. Back in Celia, we do some parkour, light some candles, grab a golden seed, and make our way towards the area boss that holds another Elon approved item. These guys actually would be pretty difficult at the moment, if it wasn't for the fact that you can simply jump onto the structure in the corner and they kinda stop knowing how to deal with your attacks whatsoever, which makes the fight very easy. One of them tried using my own strategy against me, but honestly that just made things even worse for her. Now we can finally grab our first proper weapon, which we can... well, it's still gonna be a bit before we can use that. For now though, I went to the Church of the Plague to upgrade my flasks a bit more and bully a sick person, before moving on to the Dragon Barrow. After saying hi to the friendly dragon, I quickly went through the worst room in the game and grabbed half a medallion, some runes, and most importantly the Sword Seal, which is another one of the talismans Elon is using. Yep, that's right. 30 Vigor, a Sword Seal and the Glintstone Crown. This is gonna be great. Moving along, we make our way around Stormvale Castle for now and arrive at Liurnia. After taking in the gorgeous view, we help the poor, as Elon Musk is always willing to do, and start moving through the area. I decided to help the Snake Girl because she'll be able to help us later. For that, we just gotta get her necklace back from the house right over here. Once we bought it from the local Aussie, we can give it back to her and we're good to go. After riding around a lot, we come upon the Academy Gate Town, which is a pretty useless area usually, but there's actually a lot of guys here who can drop one of the 2 shields that we need. But before farming for that, I just ran through the place, grabbed some runes, said hello to the friendly dragon, grabbed the key and got the hell out of there. I also thought it might be time for a bit of a makeover for our boy Elon, since he was looking a little too... young. There's a lot of stuff that we need in Raya Lucaria, but also the enemies here are still quite rough with completely unupgraded weapons. But after dying to these snipers that I didn't know existed, twice, I made it through, killed the Alabaster Lord just for fun, rode up the giant elevator and found some crystal darts, which are in Elon's hotbar in the screenshot, so that's one more item baby. Now, after getting back into the academy proper and making it past some more Burger Kings, we can destroy this illusory wall, behind which we find the Comet Sorcery as well as the Graven School Talisman, the 3rd talisman that we'll be allowed to use. It boosts all sorceries by 4%, which actually sounds pretty good until you realize that there's a stronger version of this talisman that boosts by double that amount. So yeah. I did decide to equip it for now though, and made my way to...
What the dog doing?
This guy was the bane of my existence. We do barely any damage to him at this point, and he has quite a few attacks that come out super quick and can easily 2-shot or even sometimes 1-shot us with a current health. So, after dying to him a couple of times, I decided it was time to do some prep. Now, the problem with sorceries is that we can't actually be sure which of them Elon used, but in one of the replies, he does reveal that he was at the very least using the Full Moon and Comet Sorcery. So I decided that would be the only ones I would allow myself to use. However, after finding out that Comet takes 52 intelligence to use, I decided that the Comet Shard is basically the same thing. So I beat up the Pumpkin Head on the way, spent all my runes because that thing costs 12k, and still wasn't able to use it because I needed 5 more intelligence. I decided my best course of action would be to farm for the shield right now, because I would accumulate runes at the same time and could get to 36 intelligence. After using the 1 silver pickled foulfoot I picked up along the way, I immediately died to the big flaming head dude. Good thing there was another one inside Raya Lucaria. I actually got the shield pretty quickly, but couldn't wield it yet because I didn't have the necessary strength. Guess that's what I get for only leveling intelligence. Well, I suppose we're stuck with this flimsy shield for now. After farming some more runes and totally not dying to the flamey boy again, I could finally level my intelligence enough and had a new sorcery in my repertoire. Now it's time to do this. While fighting this big stupid dog, I actually realized that Elon in fact does not have his flasks in his hotbar. Where are they? I have to assume that they're probably stored inside his pouch, and so, to get the true Elon experience, I decided to do the same. Alright, back to it. After a considerable amount of tries, I was finally able to move on to the rest of Raya Lucaria. There are quite a few items we need in this part of the academy, one of which we can get by simply luring this guy into the giant iron ball, which is very simple and not at all a problem for a gamer like myself. Yay, another shield! At least we can actually use this one, which means we now have a shield with 100% physical block. Next up, we gotta make our way past 1000 enemies and across the rooftops in order to kill a tiny hidden crystal crab that somehow holds a giant stone mask. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on in there. Now, Elon might be looking fresh, but this crown actually gives another health as well as stamina deficit, so that's great. At least it raises intelligence by 8 as well. I actually decided to give the magma worm another quick shot right now, but that's still not happening. However, I thought Margit would be a good boss to tackle right now. And yeah, turns out he's actually pretty easy if you can attack him from a distance, even with an unupgraded staff, which is why I did not die to him whatsoever. Now, I could start putting runes into my vigor so I'm not getting one-shot by everything anymore, but that 86 intelligence isn't gonna reach itself. Entering Stormvale, we say hello to our friend Ghostdog and start making our way around the castle through the secret passage, because, well, Ghostdog manages to pull a quick one on us. However, this dude is easy and surprisingly doesn't even one-shot us, so we're fine and ready to move on. Just gotta climb this ladder real quick and climb up the ladder again, that's not so bad. Move around the left side this time and there's a hole. Okay, just gonna climb up the ladder again. Oh yeah, we can check on this down here. And there's not even anything down here. Well, let's climb the ladder again. No, wrong ladder. Climb up the ladder one more time and here we are, easy as that. Snipe some birds, get sniped by some birds, and after climbing down this rooftop, we find Rogier, who's going to be really helpful very soon, and for now we can buy this Ash of War from him. After shooting down like 100 enemies in this field and slaying an ogre, we can put one more level into intelligence and are already at Godric. Yeah, that's right, first try, idiot! To be fair, he also really doesn't know how to handle ranged attacks, and most of his attacks are honestly really easy to dodge through, but that still felt pretty nice. Anyways, remember how I said that Rogier would come in handy later about 82 seconds ago? Well, that time is now, because after defeating Godric, he has a bit of a gift for us. That's right, an actual weapon that we are able to upgrade, and not only that, but it's already at +8 to begin with, so it's certainly a huge upgrade from the starting short sword. But it takes 17 dexterity to be able to wield, so we can't use it. Although, we do have a tool that can help out with that. Radagon's Sword Seal gives +5 to your vigor, endurance, strength and dexterity, but also drastically lowers your damage negation. Meaning we now die even more easily, but at least we have an actual weapon. Put the Carrion Greatsword Ash of War we bought earlier on that, and upgraded to +11, and finally we're getting somewhere. I went back to Liurnia, dodged a couple of tactical airstrikes, and made my way to Caria Manor, where there honestly isn't much for us to do, however we can get killed by giant hands that I try to fight, because clearly we have a strong enough weapon for them now. In all seriousness though, the only real reason to go here is to get to the top of the area, grab the golden seal up here, make it past all the enemies, drop down these ledges, excuse me, and get the Ash of War on this building's ceiling, because it's actually just a better version of the ash we are currently using that has the same icon. Little did I know that there is literally never ever a good moment to use these ashes, so joke's on me. I also decided to do Loretta real quick for some easy runes while I was here, which, say it with me, are going straight into intelligence. Next up, I decided to get some more things before finally taking on the magma worm. Firstly, I went back to Cypher and finally bought the crafting kit so that we can now make an unlimited amount of crystal darts. I also farmed some more runes, which let me get my intelligence up just enough so that I can finally wield Luzette's glintstone staff, meaning we now have a second weapon. Let's upgrade that to +4 with the somber stones we have, and then it's time to do some math. Wait, don't click off yet. Because you see, Elon has the stats that he posted in this image, however his character is only level 121. If we take the starting stats of the astrologer and subtract them from Elon's stats, we get a total of 161 spent stat points. The astrologer starts at level 6, meaning that Elon has only leveled up 115 times. We know that Radagon Sword Seal adds +5 to 4 different stats, resulting in a total of 20 stat points, and the Glintstone Crown gives a +6 boost to intelligence. This still just leaves us with 141 stat points, meaning that Elon must be using a physic flask that boosts 2 of his skills by 10. Since both strength and faith are not high leveled enough to be boosted by 10, the stats he's boosting must be intelligence and dexterity. However, my original math while playing was way off, which is why I thought he was only boosting one stat and just assumed that it's intelligence. And honestly, I'm kinda happy I did that because oh my god, 20 base dexterity while using a katana, what in God's name is that? So, after that brain blast, I went back to Liurnia and got myself the intelligence knot tier. Afterwards, I went to Limgrave, made my way up Kenneth's castle and got the other half of the Dectus medallion. With this, I went up the elevator and arrived at the Altus Plateau. Up here, I beat up some janky golems, ran past some actually unbelievable shit, like seriously, who greenlit this? Grabbed a bunch of golden seeds and then talked to the nice snake lady from earlier. She can take us right on over to Volcano Manor, which is helpful because not only do we get some nice pep talk here, we also get to randomly die from nothing, and on top of that can take out the Bloodhound, make our way through the basement, into the local city, past the funny dogs, and use some stone sword keys to get into this place. She seems to be hibernating, best not disturb her and instead just walk upstairs and get the Crimson Amber Medallion +1. Now, there is also a +2 version of this one, but at least we've got the slightly better one. I decided to make my way through this hellscape and was met with great disappointment when I found out they patched out the funny Godskin Noble cheese. I deeply considered finally leveling Vigor, but if we put one more level into strength right now, we're finally able to wield both of our shields. Woohoo! Now it's time to do this. Alright, now that that's taken care of, we finally have access to the one actually good part of this build. With a Moonwell upgraded to +4 and a fresh confidence boost, I decided now would be a good time to challenge our next Shardbearer. So I went back to Raya Lucaria, dodged some more balls and made the realization that we are now fat rolling, so that's just swell. After running into some trans kids, something Eon has a great track record with, it's time to give this a good attempt. The first phase shouldn't really be a problem no matter what build you have, since all you really have to do is hit a couple of her children and then wail on her. However, we don't actually do a whole lot of damage to her, since the majority of Moonveil's strength comes from magic damage, and naturally, Renala has a lot of magic defense, so her first phase takes a while. But after a few cycles she finally goes down and then this happens.
My beloved.
Yeah, this certainly is a FromSoft game. She doesn't really take any more damage in the second phase, and also I get completely destroyed because I had no idea what she was doing here. I decided it would be best to do a little bit more prep, since there's still some Somber Smithing Stones accessible to us. I nabbed the +5 from the small dude in Caelid and went over to Mount Gelmir for some more, but ran into an old acquaintance. Moonveil certainly helps this build quite a bit, however my skill issues are still present. I decided to avoid her yet again and climbed up another ladder to get this guy's Somber Stone 6. Thanks! Let's get that to +6 and start putting some levels into Mind, because again, who needs Vigor? Alright, now it's actually time to do this. The base damage isn't that much more, but bleed seems to proc a lot quicker, which does speed up the fight a bit. Okay, now that that's over with, it's time. Oof, that took a lot out of me. I'm gonna need a moment. While I'm calming down, we can now get a talisman pouch from the finger reader lady, as well as obtaining the full moon spell from Manala's Remembrance. Put on some nice talismans, get the best gesture in the game, except for one maybe, and we're properly off to the Elder's Plateau. Obviously we ignore the annoying gargoyle, grab some more golden seeds and go meet this fella again, who is very easy now with our newly acquired gear, which is why I did him first try real quick. Hey, to be fair, fat rolling is making my life very hard right now, I mean look at that. Whatever, moving on, we just gotta make it past these golems. Seriously? Well, I quickly made it past these guys the second time. What's really awesome about this one is that I was no longer in the range of the Stake of Marika, so now I've gotta do like a 5-minute run back. Well, whatever. After that little hiccup, we arrive at... This guy is by far the hardest thing we've had to face yet, and that is solely because of fat rolling. As well as the fact that we've barely leveled Vigor, but that's besides the point. Every single roll needs to be timed perfectly so that we actually dodge through the attack and still have enough time to dodge the follow-up attack. Usually, great positioning can make it so that you don't even need to dodge through a lot of boss's attacks. However, all of the Draconic Tree Sentinel's attacks have a giant shockwave that basically covers the entire area around him, which makes it so you have to use some rolls. Also, just keeping distance and spamming spells is impossible, because he decides to be just as cheap by completely spamming his fireball attack that you also have to perfectly dodge through, making it impossible to even get any spells out. So we have to stay close to him, dodge absolutely perfectly without a single mistake, or Elon most likely just perishes immediately. Attack only when we can be sure we have the time, and don't ever accidentally buffer any rolls, because that could also mean immediate death. Well, here goes nothing. His second phase is even more messed up, because he gets a bunch of crazy lightning attacks that are even harder to dodge through, one of which is 3 consecutive lightning strikes that home directly in on Elon, which, conveniently, you can't dodge through while fat rolling. At least that's what I thought. At some point I did start to manage to roll through them, but I'm pretty sure it's a literal 1 frame window when you're fat rolling. Although you can apparently block the lightning strikes that come from directly above, which is interesting, but also only works sometimes. Well, after far too many close calls and about 30 minutes of attempts, we are finally free and can move on to Leyndell. Once we're done taking in the most beautiful sight in the world, we just kinda start making our way through the area like normal, killing some enemies along the way, cause they do kinda drop a decent amount of runes. Especially this big boy who, on top of his already nice 10k, drops a Lord's rune that gives you 50k when used. I did use some of that to upgrade endurance, which quickly fixed a fat rolling issue. For now.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
After walking through the area a bit more and nailing this cool skip that I just randomly came up with, we can jump down this well, and after traveling a bit more, arrive at the subterranean shunning grounds. There's some very useful upgrade materials that we can get from this area, but the enemies here are also really damn strong and the place is built like a maze. So, we're gonna need a plan, boys. First, we make our way down this ladder, climb down the pipes in this big room, try our best to dodge the stupid lobsters down there and grab the first smithing stone we want. After that, we're going down a different hole and crawling through a bunch of very confusing sewers in order to reach the area where the other smithing stone resides. Sounds like a plan. Let's do it. Okay, just like that we can level our Moonveil a bit more. Although I did decide to go all the way right now and level our weapons as high as they possibly can be. So I went to Caelid and grabbed a level 8 Somberstorm from this bug and a level 9 Somberstorm from the Council. And while I was there, said goodbye to the friendly dragon. I made sure to pop a golden pickled foulfoot right before he died as well, resulting in him dropping almost 100k, which is going into vigor. There's another level 9 stone we can get from a different bug nearby, meaning the only thing keeping us from upgrading both our main weapons to +9 is a level 5 and level 6 stone. There is a place where we can quickly grab both of those, but sadly that place is the worst cave in the entire game. Like, seriously, I can't be the only person who gets PTSD while looking at this. This cave has a bunch of these Leyndell knights that are extremely strong, and I mean a bunch. Like, this room has 3 of them, what the hell is this?
Oh, cause it's Dark Souls 3, they put 3 of every...
Also there's a bunch of hidden dogs that just kinda appear out of nowhere. Luckily we don't really need to deal with all that. And after only dying a couple of times I managed to get both of the stones and got the hell out of there. Now we just visit this guy, who's having an existential crisis at the minute, and upgrade both of our weapons to what is, for now, the max. With our newfound strength, we can come back to the capital, dodge 50 of these knights, climb up the friendly dead dragon, try to kill one of the Landel knights just to test how strong the Moonveil is now, and stupidly die an inch away from the next race. Climb up there again, run past him this time, experience deja vu, climb even further up along these tree branches, and kill one of the easiest story bosses in the entire game. Seriously, this version of Godfrey is so slow and all his attacks are so well telegraphed, you can hardly lose to him. Also, as a side note, having upgraded our weapons to plus 9 definitely finally puts us on the map. This damage is actually really good right now. Alright, now that he's dealt with, we finally have access to all 4 talisman slots. Although this isn't how Elon has them. There we go, much better. I'm leveling a mind right now, so we can do a lot of damage without having to constantly drink cerulean flasks. Alright, time for the actual boss of this area.
Graceless, tarnished, thy kind are pieces.
He had no chance whatsoever. Moonveil really is the saving grace of this build. Well, after being gatekept by some thorns, Melina revealed that she would like to do a bit of trolling. Say no more. But before that, there's still one thing we need to take care of.
God of the shattering, Aragon Festival!
That's right, another first try. We're really shaking things up with this build right now. Although that's about to change drastically. Because after watching the world get nuked, we can go back to the round table hold and buy the armor that Elon was using, which makes us unbelievably heavy. So I decided to use the remembrance and put some levels into endurance and wow, close one. Yeah, this marks the point of the run where we will only be fat rolling from now on. But at least we are finally fully decked out in Elon gear and can basically just make our way towards the end of the game. Which sounds easier than it is. Well, after riding up this elevator and riding down this elevator, we arrive in what is probably my least favorite area in the game. It's just very boring, which is why we just ride through it real quick, grabbing a golden seed along the way, and then actually manage to kill the gargoyle this time, which gives us some runes that I'll start putting into intelligence again. Because 86. After riding up another elevator using the medallion that Melina gave us, we arrive at the mountaintop of the giants. After killing Shibiri for no reason and listening to his whole spiel, we can ride across this awesome bridge and we're free to just kinda run through the giant area while grabbing another golden seed and saying hello to the friendly dragon, wherever he may be. I did stumble upon the jail in this area and decided to do it because this guy's kind of a pushover. Like, seriously, no idea how he got the title of Lord Contender. Ride across another canyon, put some more levels into intelligence, we're getting there, and we're already at Flame Peak, which is a really fun area. I wanted to go to the church along the way, but realized that this is where you get invaded by this dude, and decided that I could not live with being the second strongest katana user in this world. Unfortunately, he can just kinda do this move at any time, and we're most likely just dead because our roll is absolute garbage. After he hit me with this disrespect though, I absolutely had to kill him, and after dying to his insane damage output a couple more times, managed to do so, grabbed the sacred tear and moved along to the fire giant. This guy didn't seem too bad at first. We actually do pretty decent damage to him, and I don't really find his first phase all that hard to dodge, although fat rolling obviously makes these timings a lot harder than they should be. But it's still manageable to dodge, and a lot of his attack patterns are so slow that you can just block a lot of the attacks. Moving on to his second phase though, this one's a different story. I thought it would be a good idea to focus on using the Comet Sorcery to damage him, which does deal quite a lot of damage if it hits his eye, so this seemed like the perfect strategy. However, when you're keeping distance from him, there's a good chance he just decides to hit you with this. This is an insta-kill for Elon's build. One of these projectiles takes away all of our minuscule health bar, and you can't possibly roll through both of them because the fat rolls are too slow. This means that we kinda have to stay close to him in the second phase, which is easier said than done, because he likes to make you move around a lot using his spells. Another thing though, if you hit him with a bunch of comets at the start of the second phase, there's a good chance that you can get a stagger on him, which allows us to do even more damage, if it weren't for the stupid rapier that I accidentally did the visceral with. Alright, enjoy the montage of my failed attempts. Okay, that didn't end up being too bad, only took about 30 minutes. Now just run up one more awesome chain and here we are. I put one more level into intelligence and a bunch more into mind, and now we can finally use the full moon sorcery, so that's something. Alright, time to talk to Melina one last time.
Are you prepared to commit a cardinal sin?
Elon is always ready to commit cardinal sin.
Let my hand rest upon you for but a moment. For the sake of the
And just like that, we're in the final area of the game. I tried to kill this dragon for a bit, but that really isn't a good idea this time, so I just grabbed my runes and moved along. The regular enemies in this area give a pretty big amount of runes, so I killed some of them as I was moving through the area, since they aren't really a huge problem, even though fat rolling does make them quite a bit more annoying. I also grabbed some golden runes along the way, dodged these two big idiots with some really slick maneuvers, and after leveling mind one more time and getting 15,000 runes from one single night, we arrive at the area that we'll be spending the next hour in. It's pretty hard to put into words just how much these guys suck with this build. However, I do have it on video, so here you go. A lot of their attacks easily one-shot us, which, if you've ever even dealt with this boss using a good build, probably sounds like a nightmare. Sometimes they just work together to create basically undodgeable attack patterns. Oh, and the attack the big guy does during his phase transition is just straight up undodgeable with fat rolls. Let's talk about fat rolls in general. Dodging through one attack oftentimes easily makes it impossible to roll in time, making you forcibly get hit by a follow-up attack or a fireball from the other dude. Especially some of the really fast attacks from this guy are just an inescapable insta-kill if you're standing close to him. However, keeping away and using spells also doesn't work, since they just cancel everything you try to cast with their fireballs, so you have to stay at just the right distance and hit this guy with the weapon skill while watching out for this dude's fireballs. And when you have to dodge through a lot of stuff, it can be virtually impossible to find any opening to even deal damage, since the rolls just take so damn long. Never mind the fact that you also need to drink a flask every couple attacks. Well, I'm done ranting. Here's the rest of the montage. Trust me, my heart was absolutely pounding during that attempt. I did not want to do that fight any longer. I had never even managed to kill both of them before, and I was so relieved that on the first attempt I did, I just beat the whole fight. Okay, that was absolutely the worst part of the run, though it is certainly not over yet.
Foreshadowing.
Moving along, we absolutely destroy some poor dog and grab some more golden runes, as well as a talisman that I would really like to be able to use right now. After that, I got really cocky and tried to kill this Crucible Knight that's just chilling here, but that is also an absolutely horrible idea, especially because this guy only drops like 4k runes. Run past him, kill some birds, dodge some lightning strikes, get killed by some birds, do whatever the hell this move is, and we arrive at another not so friendly dragon. This was already at low HP, so it's actually feasible to kill him, which is great because he drops a regular ancient dragon smithing stone. The somber version is just lying around over here. Whatever, he does drop a lot of runes, and after killing some more beastmen and riding up this elevator to the next race, we can use the somber smithing stone to upgrade Moonveil to +10. After going back to Farum Azula, we immediately arrive at the next part of the endgame boss rush, Malekith. Now, he actually wasn't nearly as annoying to fight in my opinion, although he may as well have been even harder. His first phase actually isn't extremely bad, I just needed to get used to some of the patterns again at the beginning. There is one big problem with his first phase though, which is that a lot of his melee attacks easily catch your roll if you immediately panic roll after being hit. This shouldn't be a huge issue, however for some reason it buffers another roll if you just dodge slightly too late, which results in Elon getting hit by 2 consecutive attacks, immediately killing him. Also, you shouldn't do this. During this attempt, I actually realized that my flasks were no longer fully healing me, so I went and grabbed a couple of sacred tears to get rid of that problem. Okay, now the fight is on. His second phase on the other hand is a huge problem. He really doesn't have a lot of health, 8 or 9 hits with the weapon art should do it, but he's so unbelievably fast that the excruciatingly slow dodges we're doing are an insanely big issue with a lot of his attack patterns. You can try to get a decent distance away from him and just attack him with longer ranged attacks, but he usually just decides to start sprinting towards you or just jump through the entire arena right away. And then there's this attack, for which I genuinely do not think there's a reliable way to dodge it with this build. If there is one, please let me know in the comments down below, because seriously, I've tried everything. When he decides to do this attack, you essentially just have to pray to God that you're somehow far enough away where not all of the attack hits you, or that you get enough time to heal before your entire health bar is gone. Okay, that's it, back to the death collage. Okay, that was by far the biggest hurdle of the entire run. Took me over 1.5 hours to finally get the winning attempt on that guy. Now it's time for Elon to cause the death of millions and then wake up in the middle of a desert. Average Saturday night for him probably. I wanted to do some more final prep before taking on the end of the game, so I grabbed just a few more sacred tears, snatched an extra ancient somber smithing stone from this gargoyle and upgraded his staff to +10 as well. Afterwards, it was time to tackle the strongest boss in the game. Okay, after that I killed another random boss from earlier for some more runes, but I realized that I needed a bunch more if I wanted to hit that 86 intelligence before the end of the game. So I went on a giant detour, peacefully obtaining half of the medallion from this poor Elden and killing Nile for the other half, which I actually surprisingly managed to do first try. And after that made my way to the consecrated snowfield, where I... After finally killing our arch nemesis, I made my way over to the portal, had to kill another invader, and then arrived at Mogwin Palace, where I could easily farm a bunch more runes. Sadly, I couldn't quite cheese this bird, since crystal darts definitely don't go far enough, so I decided to just slaughter a bunch of Elden over and over again to get the runes instead. I actually almost found use for the rapier while doing this, but it's still quicker to just use Moonveil. After doing this for a while, I leveled up my intelligence a couple more times, and finally, there it was, the fabled 86 intelligence. I also upgraded Vigor one more time to get to the max there as well. Now that that's finally done, it's time to finish this. Hey, if you've somehow actually made it to the end of this video, then thanks. Hope you got at least some enjoyment out of this. This was a huge undertaking and very far outside of my comfort zone, so this took me an unbelievable amount of time to make. However, when you're watching this, I am actually already working on a new, very different kind of video that is definitely not going to take nearly as long. So, if you might want to see that, you know, subscribe, like the video, send it to everyone on your phone's contact list, all that mumbo jumbo. Seriously though, subscribing won't hurt, I definitely will not be uploading very often for now. Well, that's about it from me, bye!